Look at me, really look at me. You ever seen someone who can't hold your gaze? Someone who drops their eyes the second you step in the room? That's not just weakness, my friend. That's shame, that's guilt, and that's punishment without bars, without chains, without a courtroom. That's a soul locked inside itself. You ever notice how some people suddenly get quiet when you walk into the room? They don't stand tall anymore. They don't make eye contact. Their lips tighten, their hands fidget, their shoulders fold in. They don't say a word, but the silence screams louder than any apology ever could. That silence, that hesitation, that awkward breath between every halves, while it's not random, it's not nerves, that's shame trying to hide itself in plain sight. And shame is always louder than words. You see, a liar can dress his mouth in excuses, but his body will still tell the truth. His silence is his confession. His shame is his verdict. When someone wrongs you deeply, personally, painfully, you often wait for words. You wait for them to say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong, forgive me," but here's the truth. Most of the time, you'll never hear it. Their pride, their fear, their cowardice, it won't let the words escape. But don't confuse silence for freedom. Don't think silence means they've gotten away. No. Silence is a heavy chain wrapped around their spirit. Silence is the ghost that walks with them when nobody else can see. Silence is the punishment that rides shotgun in their mind every single day. It never leaves. It never sleeps. And the reason silence is louder than words is because words can be manipulated. Anyone can say the right thing. Anyone can shape a sentence to sound sincere. Words can be rehearsed, memorized, faked. But silence can't be faked. Silence can't be staged. When a man lowers his eyes because yours are too heavy to face, that's not performance, that's punishment. When he avoids the spaces you occupy, the streets you walk, the conversations you command, that's not coincidence, that's shame pulling him back like quicksand. The human spirit knows when it's guilty, and it speaks through hesitation, avoidance, distance. Silence becomes the voice of guilt. Think about this. A person who has wronged you may laugh with others, may talk confidently in rooms where your name isn't mentioned. But the moment you enter, their words dry up. Their courage collapses. Their jokes turn flat. Why? Because their spirit knows what their mouth won't admit. Their spirit knows they owe a debt that cannot be repaid with charm. And suddenly, all that false confidence, all that pretending, it dissolves in your presence. They don't have to tell you what they did. They don't have to repeat it. You can feel it in the air. Their shame fills the silence like thunder rolling before a storm. And here's the part most people miss. Silence is more painful than confrontation. If you scream at someone, they can scream back. If you argue, they can argue too. Words give them room to defend, to explain, to escape. But silence leaves no room for escape. Silence leaves them trapped with their thoughts, their guilt, their reflection. Imagine lying in bed at night, eyes wide open, and no matter how much you toss, no matter how much you turn, the only thing pressing on your chest is the memory of what you've done. That is shame. That is punishment. Not public humiliation. Not a courtroom sentence. No, the private, unshakable, inescapable silence inside their soul. So when you see him avoiding you, when you see him shrink in your presence, when you notice the silence thick in the room like fog, don't mistake it for powerlessness on your part. Don't think, "He's ignoring me." No. Understand what's really happening. His silence is not his strength. His silence is his weakness. His silence is his confession. His silence is proof that he cannot face you, cannot face what he's done, cannot face himself. And that silence will follow him for the rest of his days, louder than any word he could ever speak. Shame is louder than words, always. You ever notice how a man can hide from the whole world, but he can't hide from himself? He can put on a smile, he can laugh in public, he can shake hands and crack jokes, but the moment he's alone the mask falls. That's when the mirror starts talking. That's when the silence of the room gets loud. And that's when the truth shows up, uninvited. You see, it's not really you he avoids, it's himself. Because every time his eyes meet yours, it's like he's looking into a mirror that reflects everything he's running from. It takes courage to face yourself. It takes courage to stand in the mirror and admit, I was wrong. I hurt somebody. I failed them. I betrayed them. Most people don't have that kind of courage. They'd rather build walls of distraction. They'd rather drown in noise, keep busy, keep moving, keep scrolling, keep laughing, because the one thing they can't afford is stillness. Because in stillness, the truth shows up. In stillness, guilt comes knocking. And when guilt knocks, you can't pretend you're not home because it's already inside. That's why he can't face you, not because you're dangerous, not because you're unforgiving, but because when he sees you, he sees himself, the version of himself he doesn't want to admit exists. You become the mirror he's been running from. Your strength, your presence, your dignity, it reminds him of his weakness, his betrayal, his failure. And instead of being man enough to own it, to confront it, to fix it, he runs. He avoids, he hides, because facing you is too much like facing himself. And facing himself is the one battle he knows he can't win. You think ignoring you is strength. You think avoidance is power. No, avoidance is fear in disguise. Avoidance is the proof of shame. Strong men don't run from mirrors. Strong men don't hide from their reflection. Strong men don't duck their heads in shame. A strong man looks in the mirror and says, I failed, but I will rise. I fell, but I will stand. A coward, on the other hand, lowers his head. A coward can't bear the weight of his own reflection. A coward convinces himself that if he doesn't look, the guilt will vanish, but it doesn't vanish, it grows. It multiplies, it eats him alive, and here's the truth, the reason he can't face you is because deep down, he knows you represent what he lost. You represent the trust he broke, the love he wasted, the loyalty he trampled. Every time he sees you, it's like a scar opening up again. He can pretend with others, but not with you. He can lie to others, but not to you. And when he looks in the mirror, really looks, he can't even lie to himself. That's why he keeps his head down. That's why he avoids your eyes. That's why he hides. Because you've become the truth he cannot escape. And let me tell you something, there is no prison stronger than self-judgment. You can run from police, you can hide from enemies, you can even fool friends, but you cannot escape your own reflection. You can't outrun your conscience. You can't silence that inner voice forever. Sooner or later, when the room gets quiet, when the laughter fades, when the distractions run out, that voice gets loud. It tells him who he really is. It tells him what he really did. And that is why he can't face you. Because he can't even face himself. Strength has a strange way of exposing weakness. See, when you rise, when you stand tall, when you carry yourself with dignity, it doesn't just lift you, it reflects back on the people who can't match it. Your strength becomes a mirror, and when he looks at you, he doesn't just see you, he sees everything he isn't. That's why he can't face you anymore, because every step you take in confidence, every word you speak with power, every smile you wear with pride, it cuts him. It burns him, not because you're trying to hurt him, but because your very existence reminds him of what he lost, what he broke, what he threw away. Think about it. When you were hurting, when you were on the ground, he was comfortable. He could stand over you, he could ignore you, he could pretend he was untouchable. But the moment you stood back up, the moment you wiped your tears, the moment you rebuilt yourself, everything changed. Suddenly, you weren't weak anymore, you weren't broken anymore, you weren't the victim, you were strong, you were rising, and that strength became his mirror. And in that mirror, he saw his betrayal, his cowardice, his weakness. Your growth turned into his punishment. See, people can handle your pain, but they can't handle your progress. They can handle you suffering because it makes them feel powerful. But the moment you step out of the fire without burning, the moment you carry scars like medals, the moment you start shining brighter than before, that's when shame sets in. Because now the comparison is undeniable. You got stronger while he got smaller. You climbed higher while he sank deeper. And every time he sees you, he's not just seeing who you are, he's seeing who he could have been if he hadn't chosen lies, betrayal, or weakness. Your strength holds up a mirror to his failure. And here's the painful beauty of it. You don't have to speak a word. You don't have to remind him of what he did. You don't have to bring up the past. All you have to do is stand there, living, breathing, moving forward. Your success, your healing, your strength, they do the talking for you. He can cover his ears, but he can't close his eyes. And every time he looks your way, every time he catches a glimpse of your progress, it's like staring at his own reflection, the reflection of the man he pretended to be, but never was. That mirror is merciless. That mirror doesn't lie. That's why he avoids you. That's why he hides his eyes. That's why he disappears when you arrive. It's not because you're cruel. It's not because you're unforgiving. It's because your strength has become a spotlight that shines on his weakness. And no matter how much he runs, no matter how much he hides, the reflection follows him. He knows he could have been different. He knows he could have chosen loyalty, honesty, love, but instead he chose betrayal. And now your strength is the proof that he failed not just you, but himself. You are his mirror, and the reflection hurts too much to face. And here's the truth: mirrors don't bend. They don't sugarcoat. They don't soften the image. A mirror shows exactly what's there, nothing more, nothing less. And that's what your strength does. It reflects back to him every day what he doesn't want to see. He can run from you, but he can't run from the mirror. And that's why he can't face you anymore, because when he sees you standing tall, he sees himself shrinking. When he sees your strength, he sees his shame, and that is a punishment no words could ever deliver. Revenge. That's the first thought, isn't it? When someone wrongs you, betrays you, breaks you down, your heart screams for revenge. You want them to feel what you felt, hurt like you hurt, lose what you lost. You imagine moments of confrontation. You dream of saying those perfect words that would crush them. You picture them begging for forgiveness on their knees. But let me tell you something: revenge is loud, yes, but guilt is louder. Revenge burns fast like fire, but guilt lingers like smoke. Revenge ends when the fight ends, but guilt follows a man for the rest of his life. And that's why revenge is unnecessary, because guilt does the work better than you ever could. Think about it. If you scream at him, he can scream back. If you strike at him, he can strike back. If you humiliate him, he can twist the story and blame you. That's what confrontation does. It gives him an excuse, a defense, a shield. But guilt gives no shield. Guilt gives no defense. You can't fight guilt with fists. You can't argue guilt into silence. Guilt follows a man into the quiet of his bedroom, into the silence of the shower, into the stillness of midnight when no one else is around. You see, guilt has no off switch. You don't control it. He doesn't control it. It controls him, and that is the punishment and the beauty of it. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to plot. You don't have to scheme. You don't have to waste your time planning the perfect revenge. You can just step back. You can just let go, because guilt doesn't need your help. Guilt is self-sufficient. It does its own work. It works quietly, but it works deeply. It eats away at him from the inside. It steals his peace. It steals his sleep. It steals his laughter. You'll see him smiling in public, but behind that smile is a shadow. You'll see him talking confidently, but behind that voice is a tremble. That's guilt, whispering in his ear, reminding him of what he did, reminding him that he can't face you, reminding him that shame is now his companion. And here's the truth. Revenge can make you bitter, but letting guilt do the work makes you free. Because when you chase revenge, you're still tied to him. You're still bound to the story. You're still giving him space in your mind, space in your heart, space in your future. But when you step back and let guilt do the punishing, you're released. You're not wasting energy trying to make him pay because he's already paying. You're not losing sleep imagining his downfall because guilt already keeps him up at night. You get to move forward while he stays stuck in the prison of his conscience. Some people believe revenge is power, but listen to me. Real power is not needing revenge. Real power is walking away knowing the universe, knowing the soul, knowing the conscience will deliver punishment far heavier than anything you could ever create. Real power is rising above while guilt pulls him below. And when you rise, when you move forward, when you succeed, his punishment multiplies. Because now his guilt doesn't just remind him of what he did, it reminds him of who you've become despite what he did. That double blow, that double punishment, is something no revenge could ever match. So don't waste your time plotting. Don't waste your nights dreaming of payback. Don't waste your days rehearsing confrontations. Stand tall, walk away, let life, let truth, let conscience do the punishing, because it will. He doesn't sleep in peace. He doesn't laugh in freedom. He doesn't move in light. He lives with guilt, and guilt is a punishment that has no release date. And that's why revenge is unnecessary, because guilt does the work better than you ever could. Bitterness is heavy. It's poison. It doesn't just sit in your heart. It spreads through your voice, your face, your walk, your presence. People who live in bitterness carry their pain like chains, dragging them everywhere they go. And you know what? That bitterness doesn't punish the person who hurt you, it punishes you. It steals your light, it robs your joy, it poisons your future. That's why, no matter how deep the wound, no matter how sharp the betrayal, you must never let bitterness be your crown. No, your crown must be pride. Your crown must be dignity. Carry yourself with pride, not bitterness. Because when you carry yourself with pride, you're not just surviving what was done to you, you're conquering it. Understand this. Bitterness means he still owns space in your heart. Bitterness means you're still tied to him, still chained to his actions, still circling the same fire he threw you into. But pride is breaking the chain. Pride is standing tall and saying, you may have broken me once, but I rebuilt myself stronger. You may have betrayed me once, but I will never betray myself. You may have silenced me once, but I will never silence my own voice again. Pride is not about arrogance. Pride is not about revenge. Pride is about walking in your worth, even when someone tried to strip it away. You see, when you walk with pride, you take away the last weapon he has against you. Because shame only thrives when you shrink. Shame only grows when you let his betrayal define you. But the moment you stand tall, the moment you smile wide, the moment you carry yourself like a victor instead of a victim, his shame deepens. His punishment grows heavier. Because now, every time he looks at you, he sees not a broken soul, but a strong spirit. And that strength is a reminder of his weakness. That smile is a reminder of his failure. That pride is a reminder that he didn't destroy you, he only made you shine brighter. And bitterness, it's what he expects from you. He expects you to hate him. He expects you to rage. He expects you to wither, to complain, to collapse under the weight of what he did. That's what would make him comfortable. Because if you're bitter, then in his mind, he still has control. But when you refuse bitterness, when you choose pride, you steal every ounce of power he thought he had. You turn the tables without lifting a hand. He becomes the prisoner of shame, and you become the embodiment of freedom. And freedom is louder than revenge. Freedom is heavier than bitterness. Freedom is the ultimate victory. So carry yourself differently. Walk into every room with your head high. Speak with confidence. Laugh without fear. Live with joy. Not because life is perfect, not because the betrayal didn't happen, but because you refuse to let it define you. That walk, that smile, that light in your eyes, they are proof that you won. They are proof that you are untouchable. They are proof that you are greater than what was done to you. And the more you live in pride, the deeper his silence grows. Because shame doesn't know how to stand against dignity. Guilt doesn't know how to fight against joy. And remember, this pride is not about proving him wrong. Pride is about proving yourself right. Proving that your worth was never up for debate. Proving that no betrayal, no shame, no silence could erase the value of who you are. Pride is walking in freedom, walking in strength, walking in peace. Bitterness keeps you stuck in the past. Pride pushes you forward into the future. Bitterness chains you to what was done. Pride unlocks the doors to what's ahead. So never let bitterness be your story. Let pride be your statement. Let dignity be your answer. And let your life be the proof that you carry yourself not as a victim of betrayal, but as a victor of survival. Shame is a prison without walls. No bars, no guards, no keys, yet it's stronger than any cell made of stone. A man can walk freely through the streets, laugh in front of friends, even build a life on the outside, but inside he's shackled. Shame keeps him locked in a place he cannot escape, chained to a past he cannot undo. Every step forward drags the memory of what he did. Every smile is shadowed by guilt. Every quiet moment becomes a trial where his conscience is the judge, the jury, and the executioner. That is the prison he lives in. He can move through the world, but he cannot escape himself. That's why shame is his prison. And here's the truth: while shame locks him in, it opens the door for you. You don't share his cell. You don't serve his sentence. The pain he caused you, yes, it was real. The betrayal, it cut deep. But you don't have to live in that prison. That's his punishment, not yours. Your freedom is in your choice to walk out. Your freedom is in refusing to carry the chains he forged. Because if you hold on to bitterness, if you keep replaying the pain, you walk into the same prison he's trapped in. But when you choose to let go, when you choose to stand tall, when you choose freedom, you leave him behind, locked inside walls he built for himself. See, shame doesn't need your help. It doesn't need your reminder. It doesn't need your voice. Shame works on its own. It whispers in his ear at night. It robs him of sleep. It shows up in his dreams. It pulls him back when he tries to move forward. It shuts his mouth when he tries to speak with confidence. Shame eats away at him like rust on iron, like termites in wood, slow, invisible, but unstoppable. That's the punishment, and that's why you don't need to look back, don't need to fight, don't need to shout. You're free, and freedom is louder than his prison will ever be. And freedom isn't just survival, it's transformation. Freedom means you take the pain and turn it into strength. Freedom means you take the betrayal and turn it into wisdom. Freedom means you take the silence and turn it into power. You're not trapped in what happened to you, you're standing in what you became because of it. And the more you live in freedom, the more you shine, the more you grow. The more you rise, the heavier his prison walls become. Because every step you take in freedom is another reminder to him that he's still locked up, still chained, still haunted by shame. Understand this: you are not the prisoner, you are the proof. Proof that survival is possible, proof that healing is possible, proof that betrayal cannot destroy a soul that refuses to stay broken. Every time you live freely, every time you laugh loudly, every time you smile with pride, you testify against him without saying a word. You remind him that shame belongs to him, not you. You remind him that freedom chose you, and the prison chose him, and that is the deepest punishment of all, to see the one he tried to break living free, while he stays bound in silence. So never confuse yourself with him, never walk into his prison, never let his shame weigh you down. You're not chained, you're not locked in, you're not guilty, he is. His shame is his punishment, his silence is his sentence. His conscience is his warden, but you, your freedom is your gift. Your freedom is your crown. Your freedom is your victory. And when you walk in that freedom, you make it clear to the world, to him, and to yourself. Shame is his prison, but freedom will always be yours. So hear me now. Don't chase him. Don't beg him. Don't wait for him. He's already living in a prison you didn't build, serving a sentence you didn't write. He can't face you because every time he does, he's reminded of the truth. Shame is his silent punishment, and it will follow him for the rest of his days. But you are free, free to rise, free to walk in pride, free to build a future brighter than the pain of your past. Don't let his shame chain you. Don't let his silence slow you. Lift your head, open your eyes, and step forward knowing the verdict has already been delivered. He can't face you anymore, and he never will, because you are the proof of survival, the proof of strength, the proof that freedom will always belong to you, and that shame, that silence, that's his punishment forever.